You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Raise your standards, upgrade your habits, and the results will follow. Character and hidden work build lasting success, not shortcuts or wishes. Stop chasing outcomes. Become the person those outcomes naturally seek. You attract who you are, not what you want, because life responds to identity more than intention. Many people desire success, confidence, love, abundance, discipline, respect, and opportunity, yet their internal patterns contradict what they're asking for. Wanting something is easy. Aligning your identity with that desire is the real work. Results are simply mirrors. They reflect back the level of your habits, your mindset, your behaviors, and the standards you consistently uphold. When you transform the internal, the external has no choice but to adjust. You cannot expect stability if your emotions are chaotic. You cannot expect high-value relationships if you treat yourself with low value. You cannot expect progress while maintaining the same self-limiting beliefs that have held you back for years. Every outcome begins in the quiet space of who you decide to become daily. Identity is shaped in small, repetitive decisions. How you speak to yourself, how you handle discomfort, whether you prioritize discipline over feelings, whether you honor your commitments when no one is watching. These choices accumulate and create the person you meet in the mirror. That person determines what you attract. If you see yourself as capable, opportunities seem to appear. If you believe you're unworthy, even the good things that come your way feel temporary or suspicious. Your internal narrative sets the ceiling for your life. This is why changing your identity is more powerful than chasing external validation. The identity shift makes the results inevitable. Many people try to upgrade their life while holding on to the same identity that created their current circumstances. They want wealth, but keep a scarcity mindset. They want respect, but don't respect their own boundaries. They want discipline, but make decisions based on convenience. They want peace, but consume chaos. This contradiction creates internal friction, and that friction manifests as stagnation. You cannot live above the level of your identity. The moment you begin changing who you believe you are, your behaviors follow, and your results start to shift. Identity change is not instant. It's a repetition of proving to yourself that you're becoming someone new. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce a new self-concept. Transformation begins when you stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "Who must I become to naturally attract that?" Want a healthier life? Become someone who values movement, nutrition, and rest. Want financial freedom? Become someone who manages money wisely, learns continuously, and makes intentional decisions. Want better relationships? Become someone whose presence brings peace, clarity, and integrity. Life becomes easier when your identity aligns with the outcomes you desire because you're no longer fighting against yourself. Your actions flow naturally from who you believe you are. The most powerful shift happens when you stop trying to change your results directly and start changing the internal patterns that produce them. Confidence comes from repeated proof, not affirmation. Discipline comes from building trust with yourself. Success comes from consistent habits, not occasional bursts of motivation. The moment you decide that your identity must evolve, everything around you slowly begins to catch up. And when identity rises, standards rise. And your environment, relationships, opportunities, and outcomes rise with it. You attract who you are, and when you change who you are, you change what your life brings to you. The mirror principle states that your income, relationships, health, and inner peace are not random. They are reflections of your habits, values, routines, and the standards you choose to live by every day. People often believe life is happening to them, but in many cases, life is simply mirroring back the patterns they've been practicing, consciously or unconsciously. If your habits are weak, your results will be unstable. If your values are inconsistent, your relationships will feel unpredictable. If your routines are chaotic, your health and peace will mirror that chaos. You cannot escape the truth that your external world expresses your internal world in physical form. The mirror principle is not meant to judge, it is meant to empower. It reminds you that you are not a victim of circumstances, but a participant in creating them. When you look at your income, you're looking at a reflection of your discipline, your skill set, your consistency, and your willingness to learn and take risks. Income mirrors value, and value is built through daily habits, studying, practicing, improving, showing up, and doing what others avoid. If your financial life is stagnant, it is often because your learning, decision-making, or productivity habits have stagnated too. The moment you upgrade your routines, waking earlier, focusing deeply, cutting distractions, applying new skills, you notice your income beginning to shift. Money responds to identity, not wishes. As you become more capable, more focused, more disciplined, your financial results start catching up. Relationships reflect your values, communication patterns, boundaries, and emotional habits. If you often attract disrespect, it may be reflecting your tolerance for it. If you feel misunderstood, it may reflect the clarity of your communication or the emotional walls you've built. When you value honesty, you attract people who respect truth. When you value growth, you attract those who elevate you. When your boundaries are strong, your relationships become healthier. People treat you according to what you consistently allow, and that allowance is shaped by your inner standards. The mirror principle simply reveals the truth. Your relationships improve when you improve. Your health mirrors your routines, what you eat, how you rest, how you move, and how you manage stress. Good intentions cannot override poor habits. Even small, consistent changes, more water, more walking, better sleep, mindful breathing, begin reshaping your physical and mental well-being. When your routine honors your body responds with energy, clarity, strength, and balance. Health does not come from intensity, it comes from consistency. The mirror will always show you exactly what you repeatedly do. Inner peace reflects your mental habits, the thoughts you entertain, and the environments you expose yourself to. If your mind is constantly at war, it may be reflecting your use of social media, the negativity you consume, or the emotional stories you replay. Peace is not a gift, it is a habit. It grows when you practice letting go, simplifying your life, creating boundaries with chaos, and choosing stillness over constant noise. When your inner environment becomes calm, your outer world begins to follow. The mirror principle is powerful because it gives you control. You do not need to chase results. You need to adjust the actions, thoughts, and choices that produce them. When you improve your habits, your life improves. When you elevate your values, your relationships elevate. When you strengthen your routines, your health strengthens. And when you discipline your mind, peace becomes your natural state. The mirror never lies, it simply reflects who you're becoming. Change the source, and the reflection will change on its own. Become more before you get more, because life rewards maturity, discipline, skill, and character long before it rewards desire. Wanting something is never the issue. Everyone wants success, freedom, peace, stability, respect, and opportunity. But desire alone produces nothing without the internal growth required to sustain what you're asking for. You cannot expect more while remaining the same. You cannot demand results your habits are not built to handle. Every great outcome in life is the byproduct of becoming someone capable of carrying it. The truth is simple. Your results expand only after you expand. Growth creates capacity, and capacity determines what you can hold, what you can manage, and what you can keep. People often chase the more income, more influence, more confidence, more happiness, without ever upgrading the identity that produces these things. They imagine success appearing magically the moment they desire it, but success responds to preparation, not longing. You must strengthen your discipline, sharpen your skills, and elevate your standards before life promotes you. If you want more opportunities, become someone who recognizes and seizes them. If you want more income, become someone who creates more value. If you want better relationships, become someone who communicates with clarity, emotional maturity, and respect. More is always available, but it flows to those who have become ready for it. Growth is not glamorous. It happens in silence, in the mornings when you get up even when you don't feel like it, in the evenings when you choose learning over distraction, in the small decisions that no one else sees. Discipline is not built through intensity, but through consistency. The more consistently you keep promises to yourself, the more your confidence grows. The more disciplined your routines become, the more predictable your progress becomes. Desire without discipline creates frustration. Desire with discipline creates transformation. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Becoming more means leaving behind old patterns that sabotage your potential. You must redefine your identity from the inside out. If you see yourself as incapable, you will act in ways that limit you. If you see yourself as powerful, consistent, and worthy, your actions will reinforce that belief. Growth demands honesty, looking at your weaknesses without shame, your strengths without arrogance, and your habits without excuses. When you take responsibility for your life, you gain control over it. Responsibility is the birthplace of empowerment. Progress always begins with the internal shift. When you sharpen your thinking, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your actions follow. When your actions improve, your outcomes evolve. Life is built from the inside outward. Many people try to change their circumstances without changing themselves, but circumstances cannot rise above character. You must evolve into someone who aligns with the results you desire. This is why becoming more always precedes receiving more. The external world reorganizes itself around your internal upgrades. Discipline is what transforms desire into reality. Anyone can dream. Few are willing to endure the discomfort required to grow. Discipline is choosing your future over your feelings. It is doing the work even when motivation fades. It is mastering repetition instead of chasing inspiration. As you become more disciplined, you begin to trust yourself. That self-trust becomes momentum, and momentum becomes results. Eventually, you realize that getting more is not the goal. Becoming more is. When you become stronger, wiser, calmer, more focused, and more capable, the results you once chased start chasing you. Life rewards growth with abundance. Life rewards discipline with opportunity. When you evolve, everything around you evolves with you. Raise your standards and character, because the quality of your life will never rise above the quality of what you tolerate, practice, and embody every single day. Standards are the baseline, the minimum level of behavior, discipline, effort, and respect you demand from yourself and allow from others. When your standards are low, your outcomes naturally follow that level. When your standards rise, your actions sharpen, your focus strengthens, and your environment begins to shift around you. But standards alone are not enough. Character, the combination of consistency, integrity, discipline, and follow-through, is the true currency of lasting success. Anyone can raise their expectations. Few can consistently live in alignment with them. Character is forged in the moments when no one is watching. It shows up in how you speak to yourself, how you honor commitments, how you handle pressure, and how you treat others even when it offers no benefit. Character is doing the right thing, not because it is easy, but because it aligns with who you want to become. When character strengthens, you naturally begin to enforce higher standards. You stop allowing disrespect, you stop settling for mediocrity, you stop making excuses, and you stop accepting behaviors that drain your potential. Your external world shifts the moment your internal world becomes non-negotiable. Raising your standards means demanding more from your time, your decisions, your habits, and your relationships. If you want greater results, you must expect excellence from yourself long before life rewards you with it. People often wait for success before upgrading their standards. But the opposite is true. Standards create success. The higher your standards, the more intentional your actions become. You start choosing discipline over distraction, clarity over confusion, effort over laziness, and long-term gain over short-term comfort. Your standards dictate your routines, and your routines determine your outcomes. Character is what gives those standards strength. Anyone can declare, "I'm changing my life," but only character can sustain the habits that change it. Success requires integrity. doing what you said you do, especially when the motivation disappears. It requires consistency, showing up repeatedly, even when progress feels slow. It requires emotional maturity, acting from principles instead of reacting from impulses. Character is built through repetition, the small, honest decisions, the disciplined mornings, the tough conversations, the refusal to cut corners, the continual refinement of who you are becoming. As your standards rise, the people and situations in your life begin to recalibrate. Some relationships fade because they cannot meet your new boundaries. Some opportunities disappear because they no longer match your direction. This is not loss, it is alignment. When you demand more from yourself, you naturally begin attracting people who hold themselves to similar expectations. Your environment becomes a reflection of your character. High standards repel chaos and invite clarity. Strong character repels inconsistency and attracts trust. Lasting success is not built from talent or luck. It is built from identity. You must become the kind of person who matches the results you want. When your standards say, "I don't settle," and your character says, "I follow through," success becomes predictable. You stop needing to chase validation or outcomes because your daily habits are already guiding you toward them. The world honors those who honor themselves through discipline and integrity. Raising your standards changes the trajectory of your life. Strengthening your character ensures the change lasts. Standards determine what you accept. Character determines who you become. And when you elevate both, your life rises to meet them. Manage energy and protect associations, because the people and environments you allow into your life shape your thoughts, your habits, your identity, and ultimately your destiny. Energy is contagious, more than words, more than intentions, more than plans. You absorb the attitudes, behaviors, standards, and emotional states of the people you consistently interact with. If you surround yourself with individuals who complain, procrastinate, gossip, or operate from fear, that energy quietly becomes your normal. If you spend your time around people who aim high, act with discipline, think with clarity, and push themselves to grow, that becomes your baseline. Your circle is either an anchor or a catalyst. Managing your energy and protecting your associations is not selfish. It is essential for your growth and long-term peace. Energy is the fuel behind every action you take. When your energy is drained, your decision-making weakens, your discipline slips, your creativity shrinks, and your emotional resilience collapses. Protecting your energy means guarding your attention, your focus, and your emotional bandwidth. It means being mindful of where your time goes, because time is always exchanged for energy. If conversations leave you empty, if certain environments exhaust you, or if some people consistently disrupt your peace, those are signs that your energy is being mismanaged. High-quality energy comes from clarity, calmness, purposeful action, and alignment with your values. When you protect these things, everything in your life operates from a higher standard. Associations are one of the strongest influences on your energy. People can either elevate you or drain you. They can sharpen your ambition or dull your potential. They can push you toward excellence or pull you into mediocrity. This is why it's important to surround yourself with individuals who live with high standards, people who show discipline, act with integrity, and take responsibility for their lives. Being around them raises your own expectations. Their habits inspire you to level up. Their mindset influences the way you think. Their consistency becomes a model for your own behavior. You grow simply because they normalize growth. Avoiding mediocrity does not mean judging others. It means refusing to let your environment limit your potential. Mediocrity is a mindset, not a person. It is the belief that good enough is acceptable, that comfort matters more than progress, that excuses are valid reasons. When you spend too much time around mediocrity, you unconsciously adopt that mindset. You begin lowering your standards, compromising your habits, and settling for less than you're capable of. Protecting your associations ensures that you stay connected to people who remind you of the person you want to become, not the person you are trying to outgrow. Managing energy requires intentional boundaries. It means choosing who gets access to you, when they get access, and under what conditions. Not everyone deserves your time, your emotional labor, or your attention. Boundaries protect your mental state, and a protected mental state fuels discipline and productivity. The more carefully you manage your energy, the more you can invest it into growth, learning, creativity, and meaningful relationships. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. Your environment is a silent sculptor, shaping your behavior without your awareness. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your environment first. Choose people who challenge you, who encourage honesty, who push you to think deeper, who hold you accountable, who celebrate discipline, and who make excellence feel normal. Choose spaces that support focus and peace. Choose habits that protect your mental and emotional strength. When you consistently surround yourself with high standards, your own standards naturally rise. Hidden work builds visible results, because the world only sees the outcome, while you alone witness the long, quiet hours that made it possible. Private discipline, persistence, and consistent habits form the foundation of lasting success, influence, and opportunity. What people call talent, luck, or overnight success is almost always the visible tip of a massive, invisible iceberg of effort. The unseen work, the repetitions, the failures, the early mornings, the late nights, the self-corrections, the studying, the practicing, the refining, is what ultimately shapes your future. You cannot cheat the process. You cannot bypass the grind. Visible results grow out of invisible roots. And if the roots are weak, the results are temporary. If the roots are strong, the results become inevitable. Private discipline is where transformation begins. It's easy to act motivated when others are watching. The real test is what you do when no one will ever know. Private discipline means making decisions that align with your goals, even when it's inconvenient. It means choosing the gym over another excuse, reading instead of scrolling, saving instead of spending, practicing instead of procrastinating. Deciding what you want is simple. Doing what you must, repeatedly and quietly, is what separates the average from the exceptional. Discipline done in private builds self-trust, and self-trust becomes the engine of confidence. When you trust your own consistency, fear loses its grip and opportunities feel within reach. Persistence is the fuel that keeps hidden work alive. Results rarely appear on your timeline. Progress often feels slow, invisible, discouraging. Most people quit long before the breakthrough because they mistake silence for failure. But the silent seasons are when the deepest growth happens. The times when you were building skills, sharpening your mind, and strengthening your resilience. Every attempt, every mistake, every adjustment builds the endurance required for success. Persistence teaches you patience, and patience allows you to stay committed long enough to see the rewards. When others give up, persistence keeps you moving. When obstacles appear, persistence pushes you through. When doubt whispers, persistence shuts it down with action. Habits are the structure that turns hidden work into predictable success. A single action changes little, but repeated actions reshape your identity. When your habits align with your goals, progress becomes automatic. You no longer rely on motivation, you rely on routine. Small daily habits, reading, practicing your craft, meditating, planning your day, honing your skills, compound into massive transformation over time. Habits are the quiet engine behind every visible achievement. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control your habits, and your habits eventually control your outcomes. The most powerful people are not those who make the loudest noise, but those whose private habits are aligned with their future. Influence grows from consistency. Opportunities appear when your skill level matches them. People trust those who demonstrate reliability, discipline, and excellence. Qualities built long before the spotlight appears. Hidden work builds character, humility, depth, and quality. These traits attract opportunities without forcing them. When you do private work at a high level, public success becomes a natural byproduct. Most people chase recognition without building the foundation that sustains it. But visible success without private discipline collapses quickly. That's why the people who win long term are the ones who invest deeply in their unseen preparation. They outwork their past selves, not their competitors. They stay committed even when no one applauds. They build habits that reflect the future they want, not the circumstances they're in. And when the results finally appear, they appear big. Not because of luck, but because of the hidden work that few ever witnessed. Everything you want begins with who you choose to become. Your identity shapes your actions shape your habits, and your habits shape your results. You attract who you are, not what you wish for. Life mirrors your standards, your discipline, your character, and the people you surround yourself with. When you protect your energy, elevate your associations, and commit to the hidden work no one sees, the visible success everyone notices becomes inevitable. Growth is not accidental, it is intentional. Transformation is not a moment, it is a daily decision. Raise your standards, strengthen your character, honor your routines, and guard your environment. Become more, and you will receive more. Build quietly, and you will shine loudly. Your future expands the moment you do.